Major Mac here with MMA Island and Trial by Combat. Today I'm joined by Ras Hylton, who's fighting at Cage Titans this Saturday in the heavyweight title. Ras, how you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good. So we had a press conference earlier today. How you feel
Yes,
going
sir.
out of that press conference?
I feel good. I That was actually my first one. I've never done a panel like that before, so it was pretty fun, good time. A little bit of animosity with a couple of our other panelists, but it's kind of fun to be right next to something happening like that. Never been.
So let's talk about your background. How'd you get into martial arts?
Uh Kind of just always been there, just never looked at it from a competition standpoint until my adult life. My dad started me off with some boxing when I was real young, 5 or 6. Could only do that for a few years because, well, my dad was born in 1935, so he was a bit older when I came around. So just physically couldn't manage with the diabetes, giving him neuropathy in his feet. It just didn't work out. So from then on, I had to start looking for it elsewhere. Uh, I got into judo for a couple of years with my little brother. Um, when I went down to Florida, I started getting mixed up in uh, some more street level stuff. I got jumped a couple times, being the weird kid. 6'1", quiet looking bookworm. Couldn't stay quiet for long, so I had to find someone who was willing to give it to me a little straight and rough. So um, I was able to get myself into a network that put me where I wanted to be. So after about 18, 19, no, when I was 17, I moved back to Maine. And then 18 and 19, I just sparred with some friends, messed around in backyards and stuff. It's Maine. Nobody's watching. We're feeling frisky and just want to mess around. So we would. Um, I didn't actually get serious with it until I was starting to get on the rocks and into my first divorce. And a way that I was coping was this local martial arts studio that was just walking distance from where I was living at the time. I started by sweeping floors, and uh, I was able to start getting motivated again to learn a system and teach instead of just learn for myself. So uh, I started getting a soft spot for other people's kids, and I met my future wife and my stepkids there. We all had a love of competition, and I went through to MMA, and she went through to my stepdaughter Geneva. She went through to the karate circuit, a bunch of different karate circuits, and it was uh, it was what I needed. I found a real love for teaching and competing and hitting the roots. And MMA really is like the modern day kumite. A lot of people liken it to gladiator, and that's not wrong either. Um, but it gives that place where you can put your chemistry set to the test and see what reactions have been properly balanced and which ones are still fickle, too acid, too base, whatever it is that's wrong at that point, and continuously refine that process down to sweet science. Um, but for all skills, not just the squared circle. So I'm looking to come out of this with my own system and my own way of doing things. And there's no real better way to know something works than to find a way to repeat the experiment. This offers us a set of controls and the ability to play within those controls to a great variety of unique disciplines and skill sets. So yeah, that's that's where I've come to now. I want to get into a couple of bare knuckle fights before I'm done, but right now I've got to test myself against who's big and bad around here right now. So it's Brendan Battles. So we're gonna go fight over who gets to be the first heavyweight champ.
So when I've seen you fought a Neff, on the card, it lists like 2 or 3 gyms. Can you talk about your gyms that you train at?
Yes. So a couple times a year, I travel down to American Top Team in Tampa, and that's also world class martial arts. It's the same gym run by Master Rafael Garcia. Him and his crew down there have helped to really expand my horizons on what the small details are that I've been missing for such a long time. Through him, I got to meet Dr. Roddy Ferguson, Dr. Charlie Trezevant, and through them, learning more into the aspects of judo and breaking down the fight into its own system. Mr. Trezevant with the stretching and really being able to utilize my hips, which brings my footwork to a new area that I hadn't really considered. But I mean, works for ballet dancers. Why would it not work for us? You know, good hip flexibility is something that not enough of us pay attention to. So, yeah, that's what I've been working on, is making sure that the new people who I'm able to get in contact with leave a lasting impression. And through the ATT team, Edgar Delgado's another fighter down there who's under Ralph, who's a big instructor with not just the kids, but with us the fighters, and day in, day out when we're down there. Melissa, Colleen, Orlando, the list goes on. I'm not gonna have time to list them all, but there's a whole team down there. There's a whole team up here at my home gym in Dragonfire Martial Arts, which also has the Che Institute of Striking now, and they are Dragonfire Martial Arts is where I ranked in Shotokan. So there's my formal background of most recent rank there. And the Che Institute is an MMA striking school under the tutelage of John Panette. It's really finely tuned my hands so that I'm not so all over the place and wide open anymore, and helps to combine my hands and feet so that it's all one seamless system now. So everything that I get, from the traditional background to everything that I'm able to pick up when I go down to Florida, all comes back to that same thing. I mean, to me, it's all kind of tracing back to the Shotokan Foundation, but this is a more pressure tested, sport acceptable, but also self defense acceptable way to begin all of my techniques from. And ideally, I've got my revs to the point where I'm not going to redline, and I can hit that sweet spot and just run right through from start to finish, the way that we've seen little bits and pieces of that I need to get more regular and consistent with.
So with your Shokan background, as a fighter, do you only practice the Kumite part of Shokan, or you also do like the Kata and the Waza?
No, absolutely. Martial arts from the traditional background is, or should be, a complete curriculum. So there's the pressure testing that I'm going through right now, but that didn't come without years of work in kata and the bunkai, the breakdown of that. And, you know, I've done enough time in point sparring that there's actually a lot of my footwork patterns that come from that. And you can see that I still move like a karate guy, even when it may not behoove me to do so. But it's feels like a DNA thing at this point. I mean, it's the best way to put it. So yeah, it's it all kind of feels like Shotokan, but I'm continuing to morph to where there's Taekwondo popping out from that background and from where it applies from Master Garcia. There's the Che Shindo system, the jump, and that's been drilling into me, that is really kind of setting the base for everything else comes from. Um, it's MMA at this point. Everything's starting to begin and end where the other one already had a place. So it really is becoming its own mixed martial art, regardless of how it feels to me.
So I'm also a traditional martial artist. I train Kempo. When I tell people that I have a traditional martial arts background, or other people tell they have a traditional martial arts background in the MMA world, people start doubting. You're like, oh, that stuff doesn't work in the cage. What's your response to
I
that
did,
type of stuff?
I did Kempo too. There are, and as I mentioned with the Bunkai earlier, the Bunkai, the movement explained, the why am I, when, let me back that up a second. When most people watch us do a kata, all they see is you standing there by yourself, swinging your hands and feet around and doing a couple of screams here and there. And, if you're an instructor, you're looking for things to show me the fight, so to speak. But to the average person, it's just you walking around punching and kicking. The movement explained, the bunkai, the why am I doing this, will show to anyone who takes the time to have it broken down for them that even in the most basic katas, you find basic striking arts. Shotokan, Heian Shodan shows you a throw. From a striking martial art, one of the first turns that you do is actually there to simulate a grab and a throw. The second Heian provides you with an example of how to perform a neck break. Now, we don't explain that to the kids, but to the adults, here's your kata. This art was developed. Oh, this art was developed, and the lesson plan was made for real opponents with knives, with swords, with muskets, for some of the higher katas that were literally designed to deal with Commodore Perry's soldiers. It's a real practical application martial art. Now, not everybody has done the upkeep on the bunkai to really be able to break it down that way. But if you pressure test it and you put your moves together with your kata properly, then you can find where this exists. A lot of the cage work actually that I've been starting to do has been what I've learned. I've been able to break down from the wow. What is an exciting night here in Plymouth?
Always exciting night.
Um, but yeah, it was a breakdown from Teki Shodan Nidan Sandan. The tekis, the where you're just walking back and forth, doing those repetitive movements. The wall that you're walking back and forth on, if you use your imagination a little bit and put the cage wall behind you, there are a lot of wrestling positions that I've been training that start from positions that I'm familiar with from my kata. So I take the wrestling technique and I put it where the Shotokan tells me that's where the wrestling has to happen. Go do it. See what I mean?
Yeah. It's a really cool thing about because the Teki Naihanchi sets, those are some of my favorite forms. So thinking about it as the cage work, I'm like, holy shit, he's right.
Yeah. I mean, again, you need to be willing to see where your traditional martial art ends and where someone else's technique can be borrowed to perform in a more efficient way than what you had was. There are a lot of those positions where it's you just holding your own wrist, standing up there with a fist, moving back and forth. But when you're working clinch work into that, now imagine you're redirecting your opponent into that knee that you want to drive into their sternum. There are a lot of places for those traditional martial artists who have those quote unquote wall katas where you're just moving side to side. Translate that to being stuck on a wall. Translate that to being in the cage. There are techniques that you use to fill that space. Same thing applies here.
Awesome. That's really cool to think about. So go on to your Cage Titans inaugural heavyweight match. How'd this match come to be? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them?
Uh, well, Mike Polver was being polite and not reaching out. And when I had a good friend of mine who's also my boss is a carpenter, he started training me there a little over a year and a half ago in that new trade for me. But uh, we decided to reach out. So I said, yeah, go ahead. I need to do something. So whatever he comes across with, just say yes and we'll go from there. I was looking for the next step up in a regional circuit match, and I'm trying to get the attention of people with those connections. And when Cody went to Mike, he said, "Here, look, I got this guy, and the last match had fallen through, and I guess it's tough to get Brendan to match." So Cody said yes, and we found out that he was able to say yes as well right then and there. So I mean, I had already trained with Brendan a couple of times, and I'm I was originally reticent to continue to compete here in the Northeast because I'd rather see us consolidate, work together, and make more of a regional block so that us from here in the Northeast can compete outside and, grow ourselves without hurting ourselves. But the fact of the matter is, when your options are limited, you take what's available. I wanted a tough guy, and they brought me a tough guy. So the answer had to be yes. We were both able to communicate respectfully, both in front of and off camera, and agree that it was the time for something to happen. So, there's no bad blood. This isn't a grudge match. Nobody slighted anybody. This is just the two guys around who are ready for that test right now. And I mean, I've said it plenty of times because it's true. This is one of those classic matchups. I'm the karate guy, he's the wrestler, and we're going to go in the cage. There's been a match like this ever since UFC 1. And God, who admit Brendan is somebody who invites. I don't mean this in any kind of like aggro way, but he's the type of competitor who invites the thought process of, I gotta find out. And I think he and I and a lot of us fighters tend to have that type of a mindset to begin with. So when you find somebody who that kind of resonates with, I mean, regardless of long-term goals, there's a short list of bodies in the heavyweight division, and sometimes you're going to mix it up with somebody you like. Until we can get up to wherever that leads us down the road, this is the fight in front of us, and that's what we're going to have to do.
So you're a finisher. Looking at your Tapology, 89% of your wins are by KO TKO. In fact, I remember, I think it was NEF 50. Some guy next to me is like, all right, watch. 5, 4, 3, 2,
Jesus.
1, and you got the kind of right on when he said 0. I'm like, how the hell did you predict that?
So shout out to Dylan Henry. I know exactly who you were listening to at that show. Yes. I think his count was a little bit off. He was being nice to me. But yes, that is the philosophy. The faster things get done, the less damage we all take. And the more we can go on to do work in the future. Like I said, the heavyweight roster is a short list, and this is where the most exciting fights happen. So if somebody's able to withstand that initial onslaught and drag me into round 2, drag me into round 3, drag me into however far it needs to go, that prospect excites me. That makes for the fights that you not only want to watch, but you want to be in. You want to be there for. I've said time and time again that I'm literally fighting for the best seat in the house, because the best seat in the house is in the middle of that cage, watching everything happen all around you. There's nothing that tops that. So yeah, there's no time to waste. And as long as my foot stays on the gas pedal, we're all going to have a good time.
So Bren's a very durable opponent. I think his last fight or his 2 fights ago, he had like a giant like third eye scar in the middle of his forehead. So
Yeah.
how do you think? Sorry, how do you think your power goes against his durability?
Oh, well, that's what we're all here to find out, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, obviously, I feel that I have that, or I wouldn't have said yes. But I'm not. I'm not going to pretend that he's not a threat in his own right. Uh, don't look past the record. He may be 3-1, but the last guy he fought beat me in New York, and he's got that pedigree of grind, 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 grind. Wrestlers are nonstop, and I mean, there's there's no way that that doesn't play a part in this. But yes, I feel that I am faster, and I do have the striking acumen to make sure that I can neutralize that pressure and apply it on my own terms. So that's going to be what happens.
How do you think the experience difference between you and Brendan will play into this fight?
I so fun fact, I consistently will tell any up and coming amateur to spend as much time as possible in the amateur ranks to make sure that you gain experience and you can get into trouble when it doesn't affect your paycheck. I have had my lack of experience and other things come in and affect my paycheck. And that type of lesson sticks with you. Um, we're constantly working to motivate each other and lift each other up and say, it's not wins and losses. You win or you learn. I would hope to always learn, but generally that's the spirit of the statement. When you learn a lesson like that, it sticks with you. Another old saying that I was brought up with is experience is the greatest teacher because pain is the teacher's pet. When pain aids in your experience, you remember that lesson more. So that is the biggest way that this is going to play in is we've both gotten through to where we are through hard work, dedication, toughness, whatever you want to call it. My experience here is going to keep me from making mistakes and letting off the gas and not engaging, not being first. That's, that's the whole strategy. Be first, be last, and fill the middle as much as you can while you're at it. That's what any fighter would hope to do. And I am intending to make sure that I can do it better more often than whoever they put in front of me. So I work it a lot.
So you've mainly fought for Neff in the past, which has a very tiny cage. Cage Shines still has a small cage, but it's a little bit bigger. How will the size of the cage play into this fight, especially with how big you guys are? Like looking at the stare down, like Mike looked like a little boy.
Mad respect to Mr. Pulver. Oh man, it is it is a good thing that Brendan and I are nice guys because if we were acting a fool, I don't know. It's it. Fortunately, that's not the case. So it's 500 plus pounds of two guys who are very happy-go-lucky professionals who are looking to sharpen up and see what happens next. Yeah, luckily we are good guys, and Mike picks good guys. So this whole card is littered with dudes who have the exact same attitude. We all come from different places. We all got a little bit of a different story, but we're all here to find out something and answer some stuff for ourselves while we're at it.
So going back to the cage size, how do you think that's going to affect the fight?
Right. Sorry, I got distracted.
All good.
I've spent a lot of time in small cages. I don't see that as anything other than the reason that the action kicks off quicker. It's like 2.5 steps for either of us to get to range. So from that point forward, it's all fireworks. The only difference that plays is how quickly that process is forced to occur.
So I was looking on the Instagram comments. I keep seeing this Tyler King 52 guy just absolutely shitting on you. Who's this guy and what's his deal?
Jesus. Uh yeah. Do you know what? Do me a favor. Read the comments. I haven't actually looked. Let's go through it live together. I haven't actually looked at the comments.
Sprinting to the finish line, leaving those who helped him get there behind, leaving behind an oily wake above a 6-to-1 ratio, super admirable, was one of them.
Cool. Okay.
His other comment, which Cody was arguing back and forth, he goes, when you order Tong Po from Wish,
Love that man.
yeah, Cody
Oh,
calls him, let's see, clout chasing Neanderthal, can't back up his own words, has to cheer on every opponent. Nobody likes you. You're the kid who always got picked last in gym class. In your head, everyone wants to be you. It's truly sad. My prayers go out to you, man. Really, hopefully one day you get the help you need. Tyler goes, 1. Aw, seems to have struck a nerve and upset some delicate sensibilities. 2. Show me the lie. 3. Maybe keep the same energy in my presence, keyboard G. Cody
wow.
goes, I kept that
That
energy. Hmm?
killer I'm going to address as soon as you're done here. But go.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cody goes, I kept that energy when Ras fought Cody Lightfoot in Portland. I disrespected you to your face for threatening females and running your mouth because of jealousy. You did nothing like a bitch. Also, just for the record, I'm out also 170 pounds of 5'9", still you did nothing. Tyler goes, oh, so you joined a mob that got brave when their trash bag PED abusing genetic abomination beat up a guy that had been out of the game for a decade. Decided to stand behind security and get loud. Got it. So memorable, as I could def pick you out of a crowd as you're just memorable. Cody
Mm-hmm.
goes, I was 10 feet from you, but apparently your memory is shot, buddy. Also, was 2 feet from you, security on the outside looking in you, did nothing except flap your gums. Good night, see you Saturday, jello legs. Tyler goes, super memorable human, smiley face, kissy face.
Aw, that's adorable. Short answer is Tyler is the fool who is constantly saying that I'm ducking him when in reality he's had multiple contracts in front of him with my name on it that he has for some reason not signed. I've got like half a dozen promoters who will attest to the fact that I've been willing to fight this man from whenever he decided that he had a problem with me. And uh yeah, it has gotten personal a few times. I admit I have allowed that fool under my skin on a couple of occasions. So yeah, I mean, it's I have done my utmost to remain professional, although I will admit that is one area I have utterly failed. Just talking about there were times, multiple occasions where he had made direct uh, statements about my wife at the time, my daughter, uh, and just, I understand we're all here trying to sell a fight. If a fight had been produced, I would have at least had that understanding. But um, you don't, I don't, and I would hope that people don't make comments about other people's family members. And I started feeling some kind of way, and I reached out to whoever I could to see if we could get on a card on one of the promotions that was available. However, it never materialized, and he continues to show up in the comments and yet not in the cage. So I have consigned myself to accept the fact that this is just going to be the heckling has been who's going to continuously paint whatever picture he has to feel good at this point in his life. I would, oh, there we go. I would hope that this would have materialized into a fight already, but at this point, even if it did, um, it would just be a quick paycheck for me. I don't. I wouldn't feel good about it professionally, but personally, I would absolutely be over the moon for that contract. But yeah, time will continue to tell. And you can verify that with whoever. I think I like actually posted or in my story somewhere put up uh, I put up the receipts just to prove it. Um, but yeah, that's where it's at. Tyler King is continuing to heckle from the background, and until he signs a contract or somebody puts some money up and gets him in front of me, it's not going to happen.
So what do you do outside of the cage? Nick Heiler told me to ask you about Magic the Gathering.
Wait, who asked that?
Nick Heiler, marketing director for Cage Titans.
Good man. What about Magic? I played back in the day a little bit with a couple of friends. Well, with one friend really. When I was 12 or 13, I played with their collection. When I came back to Maine at 17, 18, I really got into it with my older sister and her friend group. Uh, this guy named Ben Lombard gave me like my way of doing Magic from that friend group. I started off with a mono black, just shadow, Douthie, and um, attacky drain life stuff. But it was the most fun thing in the world for me. Got into it for some years, enjoyed some time with all of them, and I had kids, and just it started to fall off to the wayside. Fast forward to the start of the pandemic, and everything shuts down, and I suddenly have time on my hands, and my stepson starts to talk about how him and his friends had gotten into Commander. And I said, "Wait, what's that?" And he said, "Oh, you boomers call it EDH." And I'm like, "Oh, ha ha ha. Yeah, Elder Dragon Highlander. You didn't even know that, did you?" So yeah, I got back into Magic via Commander. Became a thing for me and the kids, and it's um it's a way for me to play chess in a way that appeals to a lot of different areas. It scratches several itches in my brain, and the the interactions are so intricate that there's actually this if you know Kyle Hill on YouTube, he's this science communicator who is also super nerdy into magic like I am. And he actually put together this video where he showed you a standard legal magic deck that actually works as a Turing machine. So this very specific deck list was put together by him, but it was come up with by this group of oh, it was come up with by this group of professors at some college, and they showed, and he put together this video to show how you can use this card game to create a simple computer. That's how accurate and intricate this game and the interactions are. So it gives me a fun, nerdy way to play chess and interact with the kids with the pictures and the storyline of the characters and whatnot. And it just, the singleton style that Commander has means that you only get one copy of anything instead of four copies. So you can't just stack up on the best stuff in the world. You've got to work and read and research to figure out how can I get multiple copies of the same effect that I want for this one commander that I'm trying to build the deck around, that I'm trying to stylize an entire strategy around. So for the thematic elements, for the intricacy, for the numbers and reading, for just because it's fun and I'm a dork like that. It's a good time, and it's um putting together these different decks helps me in a creative way that I don't think anything else would really quite do for me.
I'm gonna be honest. I understood about half of that because I've never touched a Magic deck. I've been a Yu-Gi-Oh guy.
Yep, yep. Perfectly okay. I don't begrudge you one bit. I've seen how intense it gets in the Yu-Gi-Oh world, though. So look, you got me there. There's a whole bunch I do not understand, other than it's It's got some pretty nice artwork, and the Egyptian themes are something that I'm familiar with. Beyond that, that's your world, bro.
Honestly, I don't understand most of what goes on. I just play a deck I like, play games every couple months, drop it, come back to it just for fun, that type of stuff.
Nice, nice.
So what else do
Yeah.
you outside of the cage?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, I've been learning to build. I've been training as a carpenter for a little over a year and a half now with Cody Kilton, who you found in the comments. He is just as formidable in the carpentry world as he is in the comment section, I promise you. Um, but so yeah, I've been learning how to build houses, and that's going to be the only real forever trade I have besides martial arts. They again, things that occupy my life in unique spaces. I've been very, very passionate and pushing really hard for parole to be reinstated in Maine because we haven't had parole since 1976. I mean, it's still on the books technically for the people who are the like four people who were sentenced previously and the six or eight who are out, but no one has been allowed to qualify for parole ever since the big scare back in the 70s with the tough on crime push. It has affected me directly with the incarceration of my younger brother and his lack of an ability to have all of the work that he's done with the degrees that he's gained, with the certifications he has, with all of the work to show that he is rehabilitating, not just rehabilitating, but is training to rehabilitate and make sure that recidivism does not become a historical trend for others throughout the time that he's been incarcerated there. However, no parole, no time to come out here and serve the community and actually get to the point where he can repay society for what he's done. There's so many people who are shoved in a box who become worse. And the this is something that can be replicated on both sides. If you continue to motivate people and provide opportunities to prove that they're ready to not just show rehabilitation, but repay the debt to society in a real and meaningful way, deter others from ending up in that continuous carceral circle that exists. So, to everybody in Maine listening to this, uh, we've only got days before LD 178, a bill to reestablish parole in Maine, ends up in front of the Senate. And because of this, I am urging everyone to please reach out to your local state senator to let them know that we support reestablishing parole in Maine so that people have the opportunity for redemption. This is not a get out of jail free card. This provides the opportunity for people to serve out the remainder of their sentence at home with their family, doing a job instead of costing us taxpayer dollars, paying into the system as well as paying their penance.
You froze on me.
And sense thing. This economically puts millions back on. If we could get just 100 people paroled, of which I know we can easily get 100 people who qualify, it would get us almost $15 million into the budget right off, because parole costs about 10% of what putting them in a prison cell costs the taxpayers in Maine, me, you, those of us who work for this. Give us the opportunity, we will continue to work. We already barter and scrape and push and survive through the harsh climate and through all the other conditions that get thrown at us. We need more help. We need the people who are already qualified, educated, willing, and wanting to do the work. Let's get LD 178 passed, reestablish parole in Maine, and prove that people are not caged animals. We're professionals, and we're willing to do the work. So that's been the big push for me, is to get my family back and get a lot of people their family back and continue to improve what people can do for each other. this whole idea that if you just lock people up and throw away the key and just punish them, punish them, punish them, that somehow they're just going to get it, doesn't work. We've proven it doesn't work. People need to be educated. People need a purpose and a task set in front of them, real achievable goals. And if you can stay motivated to get your master's degree, your hospice certification, that's palliative end of life care. I'm going to sit with you and care for you and talk to you while you're dying. These people are not just educated, they're empathetic, and they go through some of the worst times that people have ever been through. Stuck behind bars, showing compassion to somebody else. Time and time again, without the motivation. Provide people with motivation, with the opportunity to prove themselves, and they will, time again. Down East is tough. There's no way that we're not smart enough and tough enough to get this done right. So, please, reinstate parole. Maine's got to lead the way. We led the way into this mess. We can absolutely lead the way out. Our research is already being proven to be effective in programs like Scotland and in other states across the nation. We should be getting the value of our labor instead of exporting it. Just saying. But yeah, sorry, I will spend all night on a soapbox. So I will just encourage everybody to please go to Parole for Me, Parole for Maine, at Parole for Me on Instagram. We'll get you all the information and a lot more concise than what I can do right here. I get all up in my feelings and I start babbling.
As a criminal justice major, you have my complete support with that. I've studied like the benefits of parole and
No way.
stuff. Hmm?
I had no idea.
Yeah, I finished my junior year in my criminal justice degree a couple of weeks ago, going to my senior year, then doing police academy after that.
That was the clash. Congratulations. Glad to hear it, man.
Thank you.
Have another martial artist going in the ranks. That's what we need more of.
Absolutely. Going back to you and your fight.
Yes.
So this is an absolutely stacked card. Like, I don't think I've seen a more stacked regional card than this. What fight are you looking forward to the most on this card besides your own?
Jeez, that is a really tough call. I'd say there's probably about half a dozen fights that I want to be there for, that I'm hoping to get to see that night. If I had to pick one, gun to my head, I'm hoping I can arrange it. Nobody else hate me, but I'm really invested in seeing how the Tyler Smythe versus Mitch Raposo fight turns out, because I was right next to Tyler Smythe while him and Mitch are going back and forth. They are 100% ugly as hell at each other, and that just I just want to see how that ends. I'm invested. I want my popcorn. I want to be right there for that. That was something else. Like they have something to prove, and there is genuine, like, I thought they were gonna pop off right there for a minute. Like, Mike didn't have to worry about me and Brendan, but let me tell you what, we were all wondering for a minute, are they gonna pop off? It's gonna be one of those press conferences. What's going on today?
I'm sure that's why I put
But
you
no,
and Brendan on the inside of them. So if they got up, you guys could just both hold them back.
uh, no, Tyler and Mitch are professionals. We knew it wasn't going to happen, but just the energy of it, it's something that draws fans in. It's something that's visceral. So, yeah, they got me interested.
So let's go down some of your favorites. If you just want to give the favorite move on, you can do that. If you want to give a story, you can do that as well. Okay?
Oh, lightning round.
Yeah.
Let's
Your
do it.
favorite regional fighter besides yourself?
Favorite regional fighter. Uh, they're both gonna hate me. Cam Arnold.
Your favorite big
Say
league fighter?
again.
Your favorite big league fighter?
Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson.
Your favorite
technician. Oof, so good.
your favorite submission to hit.
Woof. Favorite submission is the triangle.
Must be easy with those long legs.
Yes and no. But once I finally like turn the corner, shout out to like everybody, Miss Garcia, Chris, and uh, everybody who's helped with jujitsu. But Chris McBean really helped me turn the corner with that. You like to turn a phrase on that, Chris? Helped me turn the corner on that particular choke, and yeah, no, I love it.
Your favorite one of your fights.
Ah, my favorite fight is oh damn it, that one's tough. Uh I'm gonna go with Jan Jorgensen, the Utah fight back in April. That one I've never fought at altitude before, and that was another one. Like I get kind of the same feeling from Brendan that I did from Jan. It's like I would like to go in and get a quick finish, but he's just going to absorb so much damage that it's gonna be a war. So when you have the back and forth, when you have the slay, like I almost said my Kevin Smith fight, my last amateur fight, but uh, the ref stepped in on that one. I was able to finish the job with Jan. So yeah, I'd say that's my favorite one so far.
Your favorite fight that's not yours.
Favorite fight I've ever watched?
Yeah.
Ah, oh Jesus. You are tearing me apart. Um, okay. Uh, that is going to be, I don't remember which UFC it was, but Holly Holm finishes Ronda Rousey with a head kick. Again, striker who we kind of operate in a similar vein. Uh, and it just, just watching the underdog take out the lioness on top. Again, there were a couple of contenders in there. I wanted to say Amanda Nunez, but that one emotionally got me. I like seeing Holly Holm take out Ronda. Not that I like seeing Ronda go out. We were all hype on her too, but still, just roundhouse, roundhouse.
Your favorite fight to eat, or no, your favorite food to eat after a fight. Sorry.
Favorite fight to eat? That's an interesting. Um, favorite after. Oh, there's no before that works. I don't really have a favorite, but I guess wings have kind of turned into a tradition. There's usually wings around, I would say.
And one last question: if you could talk to yourself right before you made your pro debut in 2017, what would you tell yourself?
Oof. Right before the pro debut,
Yeah.
I would have said, I know you're going to go out there, but you shouldn't have. Take 3 more amateur fights. I'm going to break your leg right now, real quick, and we're going to drag you out back in the ambulance. This isn't going to happen. You're going to decide that you need to get a few more amateur fights in you, and it'll work out. I'm an idiot, so I don't think that would have actually worked, but I would have hoped to convince myself to have a longer amateur career before stepping in as a pro. But I can't even say I really regret it. Huh. That's weird. I guess instead, I would rather tell myself to not to forget to have fun. There, there were times where I forgot that going in, and I need I need a blend of a little bit of nerves and a lot of bit of fun. So yeah, don't forget to have fun. You get too serious, you get stiff and dumb.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to say? Any sponsors or teammates or anything you'd like to shout out?
Oof, absolutely everybody. Starting with the gyms, I have it listed as forged by on my banner because that's what these people have done to all of my, and I forgot to mention from down south, even though he's not technically American top team, Mr. Tarpley, Terrible Tarpley on Instagram. I'm looking at you. Thank you. Same thing with JR from Raise Jiu Jitsu and all of them. But for my gyms, American Top Team Tampa, World Class Martial Arts, everybody under Master Rafael Garcia. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Dragonfire Martial Arts under Mr. Andy Campbell. I love you all. Thank you, all of my teachers and training partners. And that rolls directly into the Che Institute of Striking under John Panette. Again, a group of fantastic people who are now together. Dragonfire and the Che Institute are together. There, I have a lot of teachers and training partners and a lot of people who filled both roles there. So constantly in the fire, getting forged by a lot of people who are genuinely invested in seeing the right stuff come out. So I'm going to continue to prove that their efforts are worth it. I'd like to thank all of my sponsors, starting at the top of the list. Kilton Building and Development, Cody Kilton, 2-1 amateur fighter, Iron Will Cody, who will be in my corner Saturday night. Kilton Building and Development, new company name, but that's where I've been learning to build houses so that I can pay to break people out here. Followed by Primerica. Diana London's been helping me to become financially literate and become able to take these winnings and put myself in a stable and successful place for my future. So thank you, Primerica. Elias Leland, Realtor. You need a home in Maine. You need to talk to Elias. He's going to fight for you like I fight for y'all out here to put you where you need to be or to help you put your home on the market at a fair price. Bailey's Camping Resort. I've been going there for our own like family after parties for years now. The Bailey's family has always been really good to us. They have this great camping resort where you get to just go and the kids are safe. Everybody's having a good time. It's a world unto its own, and I'm really grateful to be there. And they come uh, highly recommended by Gully's Tiki Bar. My best friend, the guy who got me introduced and into the MMA world, Nick Gulliver, been my best friend ever since he submitted me with a punk ass wrist lock years and years ago, and started me down the path to first class MMA, which got me into modern day Kumite. Gully's Tiki Bar, knock you on your ass, man, in the best way possible with the biggest smile. One of the best guys you're ever going to meet. Love that dude. And of course, I have to give that one last shout out. I am hashtag Shory Strong. I hashtag Fight Like Mike and hashtag Fuck Cancer. To those of you who can, please donate to the GoFundMe for the Shory Farm. If you just go to GoFundMe and type in Shory Farm, the first name that comes up is, or the name of the GoFundMe is Fight With Me, Don't Cry For Me. That's where you're going to be able to directly help. Reach out to me directly to let me know when the donation goes in. If you don't pay me directly, just pay that and show me that you paid there. And whatever shirts I have, minimum donation, $30 or more, make your donation, reach out to me, whatever shirt sizes I have left. We'll go through real quick and we'll get you your shirt, sorry. Everything that gets handed to me and everything that goes into the donation goes directly to help at the Slab City Farm to help them recover from this great loss of my friend passing away from pancreatic cancer. My dad died the same way. And if you start talking to people, you'll notice everybody knows somebody. So please dig deep, yes, into your wallet, but also into your heart, into your soul for a minute. And just think about what you would want somebody to do for you, for your family, and do something about it. Please contact me. I'll get you your shirt. And even if you can only give a few dollars, please do, because everything helps, especially at a time like this. So thank you for giving me the time and the platform to do this, and for hitting all the major areas that are really important to me. It's family, it's art, it's crazy, and it's all part of the picture. So thanks, man. I appreciate the convo. and somebody who can appreciate what I'm trying to do here on many, many levels himself. You're a far more interesting character than I thought you were, sir.
Of course. Thank you for your time today as well.
Of course, glad to.
All right, I'll see you on Saturday.
Yes, you will. Have a good night, Sensei. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Plymouth, Massachusetts! What is it? Let